Thank you for that applause. I hope Scott's that good. He's gonna speak this morning on the Gideon, and he was here last year. And they used to bring him in. We got our own now, so we'll neither lend nor borrow. Good to see everybody. Bless your heart. As I said, if you haven't been here for a while, we're sure glad to have you back. We're not fussing at you for being gone. We're just glad to see you back. Amen. It's good. Everybody's looking for things in life, and only miracles there is comes from God. I remember back when they used to send people to Arizona for their health. Well, when they got out there, they found they had graveyards too. And so, we're going to meet the Lord. The main thing is your soul to be healthy, soul to be ready to stand in the presence of a holy God. I heard about this man who was looking for a healthy place. His health wasn't too good. And he come across this kind of a remote island. He went up, got off, went up on the island, and he met this healthy-looking man, and he said, "How old are you?" He said, "I'm 52. "Boy," he said, "you look good." "Yeah, but," he said, "when I first come here, my legs were so weak I couldn't walk." He said, "I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't dress myself. I was bald. I couldn't do anything." He said, "Where'd you come from?" He said, "I was born here." You'll get it. Here he is, Brother Scott Porter, all the way from Olive Hill. He needs no introduction, but I'll give him one. Tell us about a very important work.
Ezekiel chapter 36 says, "A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh." Mary Kay Baird said, "I was on the FBI's most wanted list." And her testimony says she was a notorious safecracker and a bank robber. Her and her husband was hardened criminals. Finally, she was arrested and locked up in an Alabama jail, and there she found a Bible placed by the Gideons, which she shoved it under her mattress. But then this verse became real to her, because one day she took the Bible out and began reading, and she was drawn to that verse in Ezekiel that said, "A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit." Well, quietly on the floor in her cell that night, Mary Kay Beard surrendered her life to the Lord, and God saved her. Mary Kay felt the problems of other prisoners and the loneliness, and now she is blessed that God has used her as an instrument to begin the Angel Tree ministry, helping prisoners and families draw closer together. And that is what happens when people find the scriptures in the Bible, and that's what the Gideons do, is helps place the scriptures places that people can find Christ. You already know me and know that I'm not a good speaker. And I may have said this here before, but I will make everybody happy before I sit down. Some of you while I'm speaking, and everybody else when I shut up and sit down. But it is good to be here, and I thank Charles for allowing me to take time, just a few minutes, to tell you a little bit about the Gideons, and I'll try not to bore you with the details about the Gideons, but I want to share some testimonies like that one that I think most people enjoys hearing what God has done for others. And most of you know, but the Gideons have been around for over 100 years and places Bibles in hotels and motels, gives them to police, fire, military, in schools when they allow us. Fifth grade is one of our big things, and they've shut that down for way too many places. The ACLU has, and we'll need your prayers to help that we can get back into the schools and so forth. Bibles translated in over 90 languages. We have over 300,000 members. 2 copies every second goes out. I was looking on the website. You can go to thegideons.org and look, and I was amazed that last night as I looked at it and the number kept changing. It's over 2 billion Bibles that has been given out, and that number just keeps changing in real time. And it's good that you can see that what that number is. I was going to look today and see how much more it had changed from last night, but it was quite interesting, and I was amazed. But another testimony that I read just the other day, it's a little bit longer than others, but it's well worth it. This man, I thought his name was right here, but I'll come to it. Phil Delary, I can't say his name, but anyway, he said, I believed in Jesus when I was 15 years old. I believed in Jesus so strongly, I think I would have died for him. My problem was I wasn't living for him. By the time I was 27 years old, I was a major cocaine dealer in the Chicago area. I overdosed on cocaine 3 times so badly I should have died each time. It's a miracle I'm still alive. What Satan meant for harm, God meant for good, that many might be saved. I realize this is a little gruesome, but I had been inhaling cocaine through a straw at my nose all night long. About 8 o'clock in the morning, I took one last blaze and had a cocaine seizure. I began uncontrollably banging my head against the side of the couch until I fell off the couch onto the floor. There was blood coming out of my nose and my mouth, and I was perspiring profusely. My friend was sure he had a dead man in his living room. I think it is entirely possible Satan put his hand around my throat and began to pull me down into hell. And God said, no, not this one. This one belongs to me. I sat back up. My friend drove me home, and I did some more cocaine. I had no idea that I had just overdosed again. A day later, when I was sober, my friend called and told me what had happened. This was not what I intended for my life. I looked up to God I had believed in and said, Father, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I can't stop it. 3 days later, November 10th, 1981, God appeared at my door, and he looked exactly like a dozen special agents from the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Department of Law Enforcement, and the local police. They informed me I was under arrest for conspiracy to deliver cocaine. At the time, my case represented the largest cocaine seizure in the history of the state. I was facing 6 to 30 years in the Illinois State Penitentiary. I was out on bond for 3 years while they decided the case. I almost drank myself to death, and I almost had a nervous breakdown on 2 occasions because I knew I was guilty. The judge knew I was guilty, and God knew I was guilty. The judge did me a favor and sentenced me to 6 years. While awaiting transfer in the Cook County Jail one morning, I saw a little brown book next to me on a table. It was a Gideon-placed New Testament. I began to read that book over and over. I probably read it a dozen times before they sent me down to the penitentiary. I got saved reading that New Testament. I ended up serving 2 years, 8 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days. And for 2 years, 8 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days, I read the Bible and I prayed. I started at the beginning, and when I got to Deuteronomy 4:29, God said, but from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search